No, don't worry, Mookie. I'm gonna vote the way you said. Don't worry.
No, they know we don't have it. Right, so they're gonna vote me. Yeah, you might be going home tonight. So they think. This is brilliant.
Ah, where were we? Oh, right. The top 15 craziest votes in the history of Survivor Part 2. Dun dun dun. Let's waste no time because Lord knows I'm all about talking your ear off. If you haven't watched Part 1 of this 3-part video series, I go into detail explaining the number 15 through number 11 spots in this list. With Part 2, we will be talking numbers 10 through 6, and Part 3 will cover 5 through 1. This is going to be the shortest intro on my channel yet. Pretty shocking, huh? Blindsides for all of us. Here is number 10. For the first time ever, Survivor is going to a rich and exotic land never before seen to the viewing audience. Feast your eyes on the dangerous and gorgeous beaches that are Fiji. Wow, I hope they go back there again. Number 10 on the craziest votes in all of Survivor is one of the most game-changing votes. It is the final 9 blindside of Edgardo in Survivor Fiji Season 14. This was the first real merge vote of the season, and everything was up in the air. Nobody was entirely sure where anyone stood, and the game was ripe with evolution. Essentially, you had the 4 horsemen in Edgardo, Alex, Mookie, and Dreams all working as a unit, and on the opposite end, you had Earl, Yao, Cassandra, Boo, and Stacy. However, Stacy was somewhat in the middle, and the horsemen were relying on her to hop to their side. So Alex talks to Stacy, the swing vote, and basically says she owes him for saving her at the previous tribal council. But as we all know, there are no IOUs in Survivor. But of course, Stacy isn't down for that. She knows she's on the bottom of that alliance of the 4 horsemen. And more amusingly, Alex knows that Stacy clearly is not on board either, as he goes to Mookie and he tells him just that. But Mookie has an idol. Ooh. And so he sneakily passes the idol to Alex, letting Alex play it on himself. You know, instead of Mookie just playing it on Alex at tribal council.
I'll pick it up. God, Stacey. I know. Who cares about her? We don't need her. As soon as we do this, we're done.
Anyway, it was the early days. The Earl-Yao alliance intended to pile their votes on Alex because Mookie had the idol, but then Mookie gave the idol to Alex. The game is afoot. It gets crazy, however, when Dreams spills the beans, with a Z, that Alex now has the idol. Crap! If only there was an alternative vote here. Then Stacy, the game changer that she is, pipes up and says,
If they think the vote is between Mookie and Alex, why don't we vote off Edgardo?
Why don't we vote Edgardo? That'll come out of nowhere.
Because they think we're doing Mookie or Alex, but if we hit him with Edgardo, that hits them from
Yeah, I thought about it.
Where did Edgardo come from? Anyway, long story short, Alex plays the idol, the horsemen look pretty smug, and then BAM! Blindside face, Edgardo is out the door, largely thanks to Dreams and Stacy. Number 9.
John, yes.
Myself, Wes, Alec, and Keith vote for strong, and we would be sending John home tonight. It's an amazing plan, but it has to be stuck to.
Famous words once said by none other than Reed Kelly from Survivor San Juan del Sur at the final 9. And that's where number 9 lies, as does Reed when he tells Missy, Baylor, John, and Jacqueline that he plans to split the vote for Keith and Wes to ensure an idol gets played and one of them leaves. In truth, the actual plan was to go 4 strong on John, knocking him out in one sneaky swoop. In the previous vote at the final 10 of San Juan del Sur, a 5-strong majority formed with Missy, Baylor, John, Jacqueline, and Reed. And collectively, they took out Jeremy. So now we are in the final 9. They had the numbers and they wanted to flush Keith's idol by splitting the vote between him and Keith's son, Wes. 3 votes Keith, 3 votes Wes. Doesn't really matter what else happens, though they also had Alec and Natalie for good measure. Or so they thought. In truth, Reed, knowing he was on the bottom after not but 2 episodes ago when his boyfriend Josh was blindsided by the very same people he was was now in an alliance with, he sought revenge for their atrocities committed against him. And I don't really blame him. I'm actually surprised that all the people in his alliance that blindsided his boyfriend are fully believing him. Reed roped in Alec, Keith, and Wes and got them to vote for John amidst this split vote. Their 4 votes, the actual plan, would seize the day. And somehow nobody else saw Reed coming, except for Natalie. Natalie knew something was fishy, and she told John to play his idol at tribal council. And he did, and she was right. All 4 votes for John were erased, at which point Keith also played his idol, and in doing so, Wes, Keith's son, gets voted out at the final 9 with only 2 votes to his name. It's one thing to stick to the plan, it's another to alert everyone against you that there is a plan at all in the first place. Number 8. Whew, man, this next one is a doozy. On paper, it's actually kind of similar to what happens with Edgardo in Fiji, and it plays out at the exact same time too. I'm talking about the final 9 vote of Survivor Co-Wrong, when Debbie gets blindsided in a 4-3-2 vote, where the 4 girls in Aubrey, Michelle, Julia, and Sydney bind together to blindside the woman of many faces in a vote almost nobody saw coming. The tricky part about this vote was that it was essentially a 6-person majority trying to take down a 3-person minority who also happened to have 2 idols in their pocket. Kind of like Malcolm and the 3 amigos in Survivor Caramoan, the situation was dubious. What if they play their idols correctly? So instead of voting out either of Scott, Jason, or Ty, the girls decided to turn the tide on Debbie to blindside everyone, hoping to flush the idols and remove a loose cannon in Debbie all at the same time. It was almost like taking out Edgardo in Survivor Fiji, except I would say it's maybe more like, I don't know, taking out Dreams in this case. More of a 32 season deep strategy over a 14 season one.
Debbie isn't listening to any logic. She completely trusts Julia, and this far into Survivor, I need someone who is logical and I know is not going to change course.
Do I have to, like, cut Debbie loose is how I feel right now.
And you know what? I'm not against it.
The big crazy problem was that in Co-Wrong, the idols could be combined to form a super idol, which I'm not really sure the girls knew about, and thus the boys didn't play either of their idols, but instead saved them for a rainy day. This meant that not only was Debbie taken out, but the boys were all still there, and they still had their idols in stow. Pretty much a whole lot of scrambling for a whole lot of nothing. Now, Aubrey did manage to get Ty on her side in the following round. Really impressive in my opinion. Arguably the biggest play of that season, especially given he was now holding both idols and a double vote advantage. Regardless, this one vote was all over the place for all kinds of reasons, and when a majority of the cast gets blindsided, you know you've got a crazy vote on your hands.
8th person voted out, and the 3rd member of our jury. Debbie, need to bring me a torch?
They're safe for a while.
Number 7. It was bound to happen eventually. She made a brief appearance in part 1, but here we are now in part 2, and I think we all know where this is going. Cirie Fields, blindsided. Say it ain't so. Well, it ain't so entirely, because the 7th craziest vote, to me, was when Cirie was blindsided in 17th place of Survivor Heroes versus Villains, and one of the craziest votes to ever happen, let alone in an all-star season. You want to talk about heavy-hitting vote results? This one is one of the craziest. An alliance of 6 of the biggest heroes to ever play Survivor versus a measly Tom Westman and Colby Donaldson in a fat suit. What could go wrong? Oh, right, JT. The first sign that JT was truly a diabolical super warrior, there are 8 players left in the Heroes tribe, and the 6-person majority alliance wants to split the vote for Colby and Tom. Now, they know Tom has the idol, so hey, if he doesn't play it, out he goes. And if he does play it, out Colby goes. Pretty simple. It's never that simple.
My gut's telling me to go with the flow, write Colby's name down, and don't piss everybody off. My heart's telling me keep the good guys in the game, get rid of Cirie. But you listen to your heart, you get hurt out here. So it's all up to me. I know where everybody over here is voting, except me.
Honestly, while I wasn't happy with Cirie leaving so soon, JT was making the move we all know was probably in his best interest. What's interesting to note here is that the three boys, Rupert, James, and JT, were all voting for Colby while the girls were voting for Tom. Had it been switched, Tom still plays the idol on himself, then maybe Colby goes on the revote. Or maybe JT makes sure that never happens and Tom plays the idol the right way regardless. All of this leads to a crazy 3-2-0 vote where Tom does play the idol on himself, the 3 votes for him get nullified, and then JT switches his vote to Cirie, giving her 3 votes to Colby's 2.
Fourth person voted out of Survivor, heroes versus villains. Cirie, need to bring me a torch.
I don't blame them at all. I felt like I was gotten with one of my moves. You know, my hat's off to them. They got me.
And when you take a step back, it's kind of crazy to consider how difficult it has been to remove Cirie from the game time and time again. A fire-making challenge, a surprise final 3, a ridiculous idol play vote switch, and then, well, number 6. You know what? We all saw this coming. Screw it. Bring out the chalkboard. Number 6 is the famous and rather complicated "This is how a no-vote tribal council works" in Survivor. It took 31 seasons, but it finally happened. The final 6 of Survivor Cambodia is 1 vote for the ages.
You know what, Jeff? I don't know what the hell is going on tonight, but I don't trust anybody here, so.
Hold on, Jeffrey.
Everywhere.
Particularly because none of the votes counted. Kelly, Keith, and Kimmy all voted for Jeremy, while Jeremy, Spencer, and Tasha voted for Kelly. But then Kelly and Jeremy both played their idols, and voila, all 6 votes were negated, leaving us back at square one. From there, we had a revote, except both Jeremy and Kelly were safe, as was Spencer, given he won immunity. This now meant that because there was a tie vote between Tasha and Kimmy, if they were to revote for a 3rd time, you could only vote for Tasha or Kimmy, and it was deadlocked, then 5 people would become immune because Jeremy and Kelly played their idols, Spencer was immune from winning immunity, and now Tasha and Kimmy were immune from a deadlock vote. And if you're doing the math, that means 5 out of 6 people are immune from getting voted out, kind of sounds similar, and suddenly only Keith is able to draw a rock from a bag. Meaning, yeah, Keith just goes home right away. There isn't even a point for having a rock draw. Now imagine Jeff having to explain all of that to a live audience of millions on finale night, and we've got a fun little cookbook recipe for one of the craziest votes in all of Survivor.
Do you want to stay?
It's just like say we go home tomorrow.
I mean, yes,
You're
but
right,
we
you're
don't
right.
know. I think you need to stay.
Yeah, sure, I'll stay.
All right, then I want Keith to stay.
So you are saying Kimmy?
So you vote Kimmy?
Yes.
Spencer, who do you say?
Kimmy.
Kimmy.
While obviously all votes are all about the numbers, this vote really just became a simple order of operations. This is just one of those moments in Survivor where the stars all happen to align in a crazy way. The fact that I consider this vote only number 6 overall should tell you something about what lies in store for part 3, although number 6 is pretty damn impressive in its own right. And after all is said and done, that is going to be part 2 of this 3-part video series discussing the top 15 craziest votes in all of Survivor. In any other universe, this could very well be a fantastic top 10 if you combine the previous video and this one. But thankfully we live in this one and we still have 5 more to go. But what will those 5 votes be? Let's talk about that. Regardless, my name is Peridiam saying thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed part 2. Don't forget to play your idol on the way out, and I will see you in the next one once I bring up a chalkboard of my own and circle Cirie forever and ever until the chalk runs out.
One of the craziest tribal councils ever, and I know there are a lot of people at home right now and in the audience, even super fans, who are saying, wait a minute, what happened? So I'm gonna do a little recap here, because on the night, all of us were confused going, wait a second, huh? What are we doing, revoting? So here's what happened. We come to tribal, we vote, and I asked, does anybody have an idol? Yes, yes, yes. So they're all safe.